Vincent Lepetit. And Vincent, if you could kindly share your screen in the meantime. Vincent will present the work they have done in his group on automatic 3D annotation applied to 3D hand plus object pose estimation. Vincent, over to you.
Okay. Thank you, Andrea, for the invitation and for the introduction. So yes, I'm going to present a project that we have been working on for quite some time, and actually, so most of the work has been done by Shreyas, who is a PhD student at TU Graz. So I'm in Paris at ENPC, but I also have an affiliation in Graz. And that's a project that we develop over there, and that's also funded in part by Qualcomm and the Austrian, or one of the Austrian agencies. So I don't work in robotics, but I work in 3D computer vision. So we share probably a lot of interests. And of course, we use deep learning a lot these days. So just for the illustration, so I put on the slide a few images from different projects that we have been working on in recent years. So now with deep learning, we can do actually amazing things. So we can estimate the 3D poses of objects, even under occlusion from color images. We can estimate the 3D pose of objects from different categories. We can also recover their 3D model. We can estimate also that's from another project. We can estimate the layout of rooms from single views and so on. And today I'm going to focus on mostly this work where we'd like to estimate the 3D pose of a hand and an object which is manipulated by the head. But so since we are working with deep learning, so we have to decide on how we are going to train our model in our deep network to predict basically 3D stuff. So there are different options, at least three, probably more actually. So the first option would be to train a network on annotated real images, so in a supervised way, and that's probably still the most popular method these days. So that's just to give you an example. I showed some annotations from the Pix3D dataset, where real images are annotated with the 3D pose and the 3D model of the object. But actually, so of course, so that's pretty difficult. So you need a PhD student who is very motivated to do this kind of annotations, or maybe you need to pay a company to do that for you. But so that's something which is difficult to scale, definitely, or at least to do the annotations manually. Another option which is also popular is to use synthetic images, because then you get the annotations, the 3D annotations for free. So if you already played with synthetic images, maybe for training a deep network, you know that there is what is called a domain gap, meaning that the synthetic images do not really look exactly like real images, and we have to take care of this difference. But that's not really the main problem with synthetic images, because actually we have methods to bridge or to remove the domain gap. My main problem with synthetic images is that you need to create the content. So that's, for example, here I put some images from a very recent dataset for room layout. So the dataset is very nice. Very useful. So actually, so that's a synthetic image. But of course, you also need some work to create the 3D models, which is actually also with a realistic arrangement, for example, of the furnitures, the walls in this case, and that's also does not come for free. So there is a lot of work to put in the content creation. And another option is to use self-learning. So if you're not familiar with that, is basically you train a network with additional constraints. So for example, temporal constraints, physical constraints, so that the network learn to predict what you want to predict by fitting these constraints. And so that's something which is pretty cool. But that's not something that we are going to do at least for this project. So that's for the options for training a deep network, but there is also for scientific work, there is also the need for evaluating a deep network, and for that it should really be done on real images. So in this case, for the evaluation, we need real images that are annotated in 3D for the problem at hand with accurate annotation. And also the accurate annotations are not always the case for some data sets. And so the approach that we have been considering is to do something automated, and which is going to be split in two steps. So we are going to develop a method that generates the annotations automatically. And once we have that, we can check that the data set is done correctly. And then we can go to more traditional supervised learning method to get our 3D model. And so that's different from self-learning, where it's difficult in with self-learning. So self-learning is definitely very cool, but it's difficult to understand which annotations or what are, if the annotations obtained by the self-learning algorithms are correct. And also anyway, for this to evaluate your self-learning algorithm, you still need annotations of real images. So in this case, I think in terms of engineering, generating the data set in one step and then running a more traditional method, I think it's easier to control. So that's why we went for this approach. And so now a little bit more in more details about how we can generate a data set for this problem, for this specific problem of hand and object 3D pose estimation. So basically, there are already a lot of options. So the first data set, which was for hand pose estimation with deep learning, was created by using a 3D tracker. Basically, the tracker was initialized manually. You let the tracker run for some frames. When starting to fail, then you reinitialize manually. So what is nice is that the annotations are automated, minus some monitoring, but they were not very accurate. So there are also methods or using GANs for generating realistic or kind of realistic images, but that's generating the content is not necessarily very easy. So that's there are also actually a very nice data set or very useful for some tasks, but to get the 3D pose of the hands, so they use sensors, and of course the sensors are visible in the color images. And so that actually shows the difficulty of the task. So if we want to annotate the real images with the pose of the hand, the pose of the object, the pose of the hand actually depends on many parameters. So that's difficult to really get a good annotation for all these parameters. And plus, we also have occlusions between the hand and the object. So basically, that's a pretty tough problem, and that's a good target problem to try to solve, because that's pretty representative of the problems that we can get for 3D annotations. And so the general approach that we took is to use RGBD cameras, maybe one or maybe several, and actually with only one it already works pretty well. So with the RGBD camera, we have the depth constraint, but we are going also to solve to exploit temporal constraints. So basically, we are going to capture sequences of hand of different people manipulating different objects, and so we have a full sequence, and we can also use temporal constraints. We're also going to use a 3D model for the hand and the 3D model for the object. So that's already quite a lot of information, but so we need a mathematical way to put all these things together. And so what we did is to go back to good old Bayesian formulation. So I'm not going to go too much in the math, so in the interest of time, but basically that's a relatively standard equation. That's where we can also use deep network for some of the parts. So that's I will explain what I mean by that. So we would like to estimate the 3D pose of the hand and of the object for all the time steps of a video sequence. And actually, we are going to optimize over many video sequences. So what we get from this equation is some, so it's not exactly a probability, but so some likelihood that we are going to optimize over different sequences. So we get a big product over different terms. And the goal is basically to estimate the 3D pose of the hand, the 3D pose of the object over several sequences. And we have now several observations, so that we have a color camera, a color image, a depth map for each time step. And we're also going to add to use physical constraints and temporal constraints. So I will mostly focus on this term, where we use the color image and the depth image. And so the way we evaluate this term is by taking a current estimate for the hand of the pose, for the pose of the hand and the pose of the object, and generate basically what's the appearance of the hand and the appearance of the object for this current estimate. So that's what you see here. Or more, here. So the quality is not really good, but that's a representation, or that's a representation of the mask for the current object and the hand, given the current estimate of the hand pose and the object pose. And we can compare that with a segmentation of the color image for the object and for the hand. And so what is interesting with this approach is that we can deal easily with the occlusions between the object and the hand, and which is actually a big problem in this for this pose estimation problem. So that's in 2D, so using the color information, and we can do the same actually in 3D. The rendering of the 3D models of the hand and the object should match the depth data. So of course we can remove the background because we have also the masks of the hand and the object. And actually this term now can be are differentiable because we have a differentiable renderer, and that's something which is useful for the numerical optimization. So that's the first term of my big product. And so without going too much into details, so we can also introduce physical constraints and temporal. So physical constraints, so no intersections between the hand and the object, for example, and also temporal constraints. So we'd like to have a relatively smooth motion over time. And then, so how do we optimize this exactly? In practice, we are going to take the log of this big product. We get basically a sum over several terms. So again, I'm not going into details. I'm just trying to give you the gist of the approach. And what is also interesting here is that so we get a numerical optimization problem that we solve actually with ADAM, which is a method to optimize deep networks. So ADAM is almost a gradient descent optimization algorithm, which is pretty efficient. And we can actually use this algorithm that was developed for deep learning to this problem where there is actually no deep network involved. So what we do is to optimize on the parameters of the hand, the object, over multiple frames. So actually, we have quite a lot of parameters to optimize, and this ADAM algorithm is actually pretty efficient also for this problem. And so I can show you some results. So just on a few examples. So here again, we have a 3D model of the banana, a 3D model of the hand, which is articulated, and we can deal with the interaction actually also pretty relatively large occlusions. So we can evaluate the automated annotation. So for that, we use random frames that were annotated in 3D. And actually, so the error for the joint localization is still a bit large, but I think we can decrease that by using better physical constraints. But what is also interesting is that when using a single RGBD camera, the error is not much larger than when we use 4 cameras. So that means that the method is actually pretty practical. With a single RGBD camera, we can capture many different sequences, run the optimization, and get an error, get the annotations completely automatically. And so that's what we did. So basically, we capture many sequences, and now everything is fully automated, and we can generate basically a pretty large data set of 3D annotations like that. And so with different objects, different persons, large occlusions, and so on. So that's and the data set, of course, is now available. And just to conclude on that, so we get from these 3D annotations over for all the frames of many sequences, and now we can train. So just mostly for the validation to show that these annotations are useful, we can train a deep network on single images. So now the input to this network is a single color images, so there is no depth data anymore, and we have a network. So I'm not going to detail too much this network to predict the 3D pose of the hand, even when the hand is partially occluded by an object. And so just to show you some results, so that's now the hand is manipulating an object which is not on the training data, and we can still be robust to the occlusions by the object. So that can still estimate the 3D pose. And again, so now there is no temporal constraints anymore. It's just one each frame processed independently. So with maybe reintroducing temporal constraints, we could get better results. But that's just a proof of concept to show that the annotations can be useful. Okay, so I will stop here. I hope I was not too long. Again, so that you can get the data set if you're interested, and actually also the code. The paper is also available online, and so that's also happy to answer the questions after the presentation. So thanks for your invitation.